Hi guys and welcome to True Crime UK. As always, please smash a like on this video, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the bell for notifications of when my videos come out. In today's video we'll be talking about a high profile murder of the celebrity Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur was an American rapper and actor. He was shot on September 7, 1996 in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was only 25 years old. The shooting occurred at 11:15 p.m. when a black BMW that was carrying Shakur stopped at a red light at East Flamingo Road and Covell Lane. Shakur was struck by 4.40 caliber rounds fired from a Glock, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm and 1 in the thigh. He died from his wounds 6 days later. This video is about the events leading up to, during and the aftermath of the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Grab your Glocks when you see Tupac. Call the cops when you see Tupac.
Tupac was born on the 16th of June 1971 in East Harlem, New York. His parents were both political activists and Black Panther Party members. Later in life, Shakur would become one of the greatest respected rappers of his generation. Even today, he is still regarded as one of the greatest. In 2012, 16 years after Shakur's death, music producer and rapper Dr. Dre paid around $400,000 for a 3D hologram of Tupac performing on stage with rapper Snoop Dogg. This happened at the Coachella Festival in California. The performance lasted approximately 5 minutes. Shakur was no stranger to controversy and had several incidents with police and also several incidents with rival rappers. On November 30th, 1994, while in New York recording verses for a mixtape, music manager James "Jimmy" Henchman Roseman reportedly offered Shakur $7,000 to stop by Quad Studios in Times Square that night to record a verse for his client, Little Sean. Shakur was unsure but agreed to the session as he needed the cash to offset legal fees with upcoming crime cases. Upon entering the lobby of Quad Studios, Shakur was robbed and shot 5 times by 2 men in army fatigues. With him was Live Squad member Randy Stretch Walker and 2 other friends. Shakur would accuse Sean Combs, Andre Harrell and Christopher the Notorious B.I.G. Wallace, who was at the studio at that time, of setting him up. Shakur also suspected that Walker was also involved in the attack. Against doctors' advice, Shakur checked out of the Metropolitan Hospital Center a few hours after surgery. The next day, Shakur arrived at a Manhattan courthouse, bandaged in a wheelchair to receive the jury's verdict for his sexual abuse case, a case which he always denied. Shakur posted a £25,000 bond and spent the next 5 days recovering. The Fruit of Islam and former members of the Black Panther Party stood guard to protect him. While Shakur was serving a prison sentence for sexual assault, Wallace released the diss record Who Shot Ya?, which Shakur interpreted as a mocking of his robbery. Tupac released numerous records dissing the East Coast hip-hop scene, particularly Combs, Wallace and Bad Boy Entertainment. This would be the start of the Coast rivalry that dominated the mid-1990s hip-hop scene, and is believed to be the reason for the deaths of Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace. In Los Angeles, California on the 6th of September 1996 at 11:30 p.m, Shakur leaves Lacey Street Production Studio in downtown LA, where he has finished recording a music video for a single, Toss It Up. After driving to his home in Los Angeles, he goes to sleep for a few hours. In the morning, he is reminded by his cousin that they are leaving for Las Vegas in a few hours. In Las Vegas, Shakur is attending the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand before performing at the Club 662. Which Suge Knight owns. At 3 p.m, Shakur, accompanied by his girlfriend and cousin, arrives in Las Vegas. He leaves them behind in his hotel room to go gambling at a nearby casino. He is accompanied by his entourage, including bodyguard Frank Alexander and members of his group, the Outlaws. After watching his friend Mike Tyson beat Sheldon, Shakur leaves the arena and enters the lobby of the MGM Grand. With him are Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight and some other associates. One of the associates, Trevon Trey Lane, a member of the MOB Piru gang based in Compton, California, spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson from the rival Southside Crips gang in the MGM Grand lobby. This associate claimed that Anderson was one of the people involved in robbing a member of Death Row's entourage in a Foot Locker store, stealing a Death Row necklace. Lane told Shakur, who in turn attacked Anderson in the lobby. Shakur asked Anderson if he was from the South and punched him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Shakur and Knight's entourage assisted in assaulting Anderson. In the chaos, Shakur is pulled back by bodyguard Frank Alexander. The fight was broken up by hotel security. The incident is captured on hotel's CCTV. Shakur, now accompanied by a large number of people who are either Death Row affiliated or fans, leave the MGM grounds. Shakur and the Death Row affiliates go back to their hotel rooms to change their clothing before the Club 662 performance. While getting changed, Shakur decides not to wear his bulletproof vest. Shakur makes an unusual request to his bodyguard, Frank Alexander. He asks for Alexander not to get into the car with him and instead be in a Lexus with members of the Outlaws because they will be drinking at a Club 662 and Alexander will be the designated driver after. This was a request by Suge Knight, who wanted to talk to Shakur privately. The 10-car Death Row entourage leaves the mansion. Knight is stopped by bicycle police on the Las Vegas Strip for not having a license plate and for playing music too loud. The license plates are found in the boot of the BMW and no fine is issued. Shakur then left with Knight and went to Club 662, which was then owned by Knight. At 11:10 PM, while they were stopped at a red light at the intersection of East Flamingo Road and Colville Lane in front of the Maxim Hotel, a vehicle occupied by two women pulled up on their left side. Shakur, who was talking through the window of Knight's brand new black 1996 BMW, invited them to go to Club 662. At 11:15 PM, a white four-door late model Cadillac with an unknown number of occupants pulled up alongside Shakur in the vacant right lane. 7 bullets were fired, with bullets hitting Shakur in the chest, pelvis and his right hand and thigh, and with one of the bullets going through Shakur's right lung. Knight was hit in the head by fragmentation. 2 of the BMW's tyres were punctured. The Cadillac turned right onto Colville with one of the convoy's car chasing after them. They were not successful in stopping the vehicle. Despite Knight's injuries and his vehicle having a flat tyre, he was able to drive Shakur and himself a mile from the site to Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon Avenue. They were again pulled over by police who alerted paramedics. Police and paramedics took Knight and Shakur to the Universal Medical Center of Southern Nevada. A Death Row music video director later reported that he received news from a Death Row marketing employee that the shooters had called the record label and threatened Shakur. At the hospital, Shakur said he was dying while being carried into the emergency room. Shakur was heavily sedated, was placed on life support machines, and was put under a medically induced coma after he repeatedly tried to get out of bed. Knight was released from the hospital the day following the shooting on September the 8th, but did not speak until September the 11th. He told officers he heard something but saw nothing the night of the shooting. A spokesman for the officers said Knight's statement did nothing to help the investigation. Officers at the time of Shakur's hospitalisation reported having no leads. Sergeant Kevin Manning said the officers did not receive a whole lot of cooperation from Shakur's entourage. Members of Shakur's group Outlaws guided Shakur while he stayed in the hospital due to their fear that whoever shot Shakur was going to come and finish him off. While in the critical care unit on the afternoon of Friday, September 13th, 1996, Shakur died of respiratory failure that led to cardiac arrest after the removal of his right lung. Doctors attempted to revive him but could not stop the hemorrhaging. His mother, Afeni, made the decision to cease medical treatment. He was pronounced dead at 4:03 PM. Shakur's body was cremated the next day, and some of his ashes were later mixed with marijuana at a family memorial event and smoked by members of the Outlaw, as Tupac Shakur requested. The police force performed a massive raid of almost 40 houses, including the house of Orlando Anderson. In Anderson's house, a death row pendant is discovered. In the week after Shakur's death, 2 suspects are killed in separate shootings. On the 9th of September, a man who Las Vegas police said may have been in the white Cadillac is shot in the back in East Alondra. On the 11th of September, Bobby Finch, who Compton police said may have been in the white Cadillac, is gunned down in South Mayo. Only 2 people witnessed the shooting of Shakur: Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight, who was in the car with Shakur, and Outlaws member Yaki Gaddafi, who was in a car behind Shakur. Suge Knight refused to cooperate with police, saying tracking down the assailant was the responsibility of the police. Yaki Gaddafi said he could identify one of the shooters, but he was unable to be interviewed by police because he had returned to New Jersey stunned by the loss of Tupac Shakur. 2 months later, Yaki Gaddafi was found dead in the stairwell of an apartment after being shot once in the head. There has been so much debate on who was in the white Cadillac. The 5 people who are believed to have been in the white Cadillac are Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a Crips gang member who was beaten up by the death row entourage a few hours before Shakur's shooting. He was fatally shot on the 29th of May 1998. Terrence Bubble Up Brown. He and another man were shot and killed on May 23, 2015 at a Compton medical marijuana shop. Dwayne Keith D. Davis, a Crips gang member who confessed to police that Puff Daddy offered him $1 million to kill Shakur and Knight in 2008. He is still alive. DeAndre Dre Smith, who is believed to have died from obesity, and Zip the man who supplied the gun, who died from cancer in 2012. Frank Alexander told the Times in early 1997 that he had never been asked by Las Vegas police to view photos in the case, despite having observed the shooting and having seen the men in the car. A death row associate claimed to have seen all 4 men in the vehicle, while Alexander reported seeing the face of the suspect who shot Shakur. In the USA Network documentary Unsolved, broadcasted in 2018, Dwayne Keith D. Davis, a Crips gang leader in California and Anderson's uncle, claimed to have been in the car, specifically in the front passenger seat, when the shots were fired. He refused to name the shooter, citing street code. Despite this, he stated that the car was driven by Terrence T. Brown, and that Anderson and DeAndre Dre Smith were sitting in the back seat of the car, all of whom were Southside Crips and are now dead. 1 year after the shooting, Sergeant Kevin Manning, who headed the investigation, told Las Vegas Sun Investigative that Shakur's murder may never be solved. The case slowed early in the investigation, he said, as few new clues came in and witnesses clammed up. Manning stated the investigation was at a standstill. In 2017, Knight claimed he may have been the target of the attack that killed Shakur, arguing that it was a hit on him as a staged coup to seize control of Death Row Records. New York rapper Christopher Wallace, known as the Notorious B.I.G., and who was a major player in the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, was suspected of being involved but denied playing a role in the murder of Tupac Shakur. His family suggested that Wallace was recording a song in a New York City recording studio the night Shakur was shot. Wallace's manager, Wayne Barrow, and rapper Lil Cease publicly denied that Wallace had a role in the crime and said they were with him in the studio the night of the shooting. Despite speculation, no evidence has ever surfaced to implicate that Wallace was involved in Shakur's murder. On March 9, 1997, Wallace himself was murdered in a drive-by shooting by an unknown assailant in Los Angeles, 6 months after Tupac Shakur was killed. Tupac somehow always knew he was going to die young. Many of Tupac's songs talk about death, but some of the lyrics may be perceived as a foreshadowing of the rapper's demise. The closest foreshadowing of Tupac's murder was the final music video he made a month before his death for the song I Ain't Mad At Ya. In it, Tupac gets shot several times after leaving an event, which is eerily similar to what happened in real life. In the video, Tupac dies in an ambulance, and the scene transitions to heaven where Tupac arrives wearing a white suit. The place has white clouds and artists in the likeness of Billie Holiday, Jimi Hendrix, Louis Armstrong and Miles Davis, and they are all having a jam session. The video was released 3 days after Tupac Shakur's death, and if Tupac's prediction is correct, then he may well indeed be jamming with the musical greats up in heaven.
The big eye in the sky is always watching you, hearing everything you say, seeing everything you do. Forever under surveillance, you can run but you can't hide. This is seek and destroy, only the strong survive. The big eye in the sky is always watching you, hearing everything you say, seeing everything you